This is the real Tom Rose, and this question has a bunch of weird wording. So they give you an equation, and then they give you an inequality, and they say if and only if. All of that is kind of strange. So what I'm going to interpret this to mean is here's a constraint. X is greater than 1 and less than 10. That's true, say. And let's do the following. Let's take this equation, do a substitution for x. So we'll say, here's a relationship about x. Let's convert that into y and see what it says about y. And that will generate an answer choice, which we'll look up here. So let's do a substitution. I'm going to start simplifying the equation that we got. And the main thing that I'm going to do, the main tricky thing, is I'm going to flip this fraction. So 3y, I'm going to flip that upside down to be y over 3, and I'm going to put it in the numerator. It's a standard memorizable thing for dealing with fractions in the denominator. So if you don't have that memorized, put that in the book. So 2x equals y over 3. Let's solve this for let's solve this for y. So sorry, solve this for x. So this will be x over 3 equals 2 over y. We multiply both sides by x and divide both sides by y. Then multiply both sides by 3, and we get 6 over y equals x. So I'm going to plug that in now, and we'll see what happens. So 1 is less than x is less than 10, and let's plug in 1 is less than 6 over y is less than 10. So multiplying through by y. This is a questionable thing to do, but we're kind of stuck. There's really nothing else we can do. Usually you don't multiply by variables because if the variable's negative, then you need to flip the signs. And we don't know the value of y, so it's dangerous to multiply by y. So I'm going to do it, and then I'm going to come back and talk about why I think it's okay afterward. So we end up with y is less than 6 is less than 10y. I'm going to split these into two different equations. So one is y is less than 6. That's just done. Then we also have 6 is less than 10y. So let's divide both sides by 10. You get 6 over 10 is less than y, or 3/5 is less than y. So we've got two situations with y. Let's go find the answer choice that has both of those. So y is less than 6 and greater than 3/5. That's this one. So you can pick answer choice B and be done. If you care about, hey, we multiply by y, why doesn't that require that we flip the signs? So the reason why you don't generally multiply by or divide by variables with inequalities is because if the variable is negative, it would require that you flip the sign. Now, remember I was saying it was really weird how they worded this? They said if and only if. Well, that's coming into play here. So what we're saying is there's two dimensions here. There's a dimension where y is negative, and if y were negative, we would have to flip the sign. And there's a dimension where y is positive, and in the dimension where y is positive, we can multiply by y all we want. So we're basically saying let's assume that y is positive, and we'll work with that. And that to me fits because this question actually didn't assume anything about y. It says this relationship is true and this is true if and only if, and then we put some constraints on y. It's okay to have extra constraints. So in the case where y is negative, there would be more constraints, and we didn't solve for those. In fact, this would have been a much, much harder problem if one of the answer choices had been the signs flipped here, which also would have been a possible correct answer. But anyway, so that's why it's okay to multiply by the variable here. If you want, you can think of this as just we ended up in a situation where we had no choice, so we did it, even though you weren't happy about it, and you picked the answer, and that would have been fine for the test.